Every chair knows how vital it is to have a really good company secretary, but it's a frequently undervalued role. Why is that? Well, I suppose when it's working really well, we undervalue it. We take it for granted. It's not very visible. The title doesn't help either. It suggests this tone of administration, which is absolutely there. A company secretary needs to make sure that the organisation is compliant with all that it needs to be compliant with. It needs to administer shareholders or other stakeholder activities. Those things are fundamental to the role, but there's way more to it than that. The role these days is very varied across different organisations and different contexts. Clearly very different in a FTSE 100 to a small startup where the function might be outsourced. There is, of course, the compliance aspect, which I mentioned before, but there's also frequently, with the company secretary being a member of the top management team, management responsibilities would go with that. They may also be the chief legal advisor, in which case they may be getting involved in commercial matters as well. They fulfill a very important interlocutor role between a board and an executive team, often, particularly in larger organisations. They may be a mediator when there are different views, and their fundamental role in the middle is a really helpful one. And this can be especially the case in a CEO transition in a public company. I think one of the ways they add most value, though, is their clarifying questions in board meetings. You know, that wonderful clarifying question at the end of a discussion when everybody assumes what's been decided and it isn't very clear. That question, you know, could you just sum up, Chair, what you'd like me to put in the minutes over what we've decided here, is a really good question. And you may end up going around the track again and making a slightly different decision as a result. Company secretaries also need to be forward thinking ahead about new changes to regulation or law, planning ahead in terms of the board's activities, for example, succession planning and so on. The relationship that they have between the key characters of the chair, the CEO, CFO, and if it's a public company, the comms director, also really critical. Now, one of the things I know that many company secretaries feel is undervalued. They often don't get noticed. They often don't get the acknowledgement that others do. And this can be especially the case in a time of crisis where they have to work really hard to get everything done, things in place for refinancings, things in place for changes of key people and so on. So if you're a chair or a non-exec, really value your company secretary, but don't just value them, acknowledge them as well. Thank you.